Guys, what's up? We're we're gonna be talking about creating and rigging 3D models, kind of like this one that I created not that long ago. It's only been like a couple weeks since I made this model, and I made this for VRChat. So I'm going to show you a basic idea of how you can make a model similar to that. So step one, you're going to need to get tools. So you need Blender. You can just look all this up on Google. You'll want to download this and install it. It will probably ask you for admin rights when you're installing. You want to give it that. Alternatively, you could download Blender from, that's not what I wanted. You can download Blender from Steam. And the benefit of this is that it auto-updates. So once you are done with Blender, you need to install Unity 4.20. I believe it's Unity 4.20. No, it's Unity 2018.420 F1. So you'll go to your Unity download archive and just scroll down until you find Unity 2018.4.20. When you open Blender, you are going to have a scene that looks kind of like this. You're going to have a light, a camera, and a cube. So the first thing you want to do right now is you want to go to Add, Volume, Empty. And you're going to see why we want that in just a second. So once you have your empty, you want to go to your cube. And then right under this little box thing, there's a wrench. You want to click on that. Add modifier. Here. Once you have that, click on mirror object, and you click on the empty you just added. Now that you have that set up, you go into edit mode, and if you move these to the right, you will see that your cube is mirrored on the left side, or right side. And this makes it so you don't have to do everything twice, basically. You probably want to turn on clipping once you're done with that. So after that, you pretty much can get started modeling. don't do that. So, basic idea here is you want to keep everything above this grid, usually, because this grid is going to be the ground in most cases. I'm not going to do anything too crazy for this. I'm just kind of show you how it works. And you probably want to get rid of the face at the top here, because you're not really going to need it. And you can do that by just selecting all of the points here, selecting delete on your keyboard, and hitting faces. And that will get rid of that face, which will just save you a couple of polygons. If we go into this menu here and hit statistics, we can see how many polygons we have. Right now we only have 10, but that will add as you add more geometry. So right here we have some legs, I guess. So what I would recommend doing, once you have like a base started, is you select all the vertices that you want to extend, and you're going to want to go to the extrude region button over here, and that will allow you to take the vertices you have selected and make new polygons with those. And so you're gonna see I make like multiple different like layers when I am making like a bendable joint. And the reason for that is if you don't, then the weight painting later when you're trying to set the model up for movement is going to be very awkward. So, yeah, basic idea here. Just kind of do it until you think that looks right. So now that you have your legs, you're going to want to start on modeling a body. And that, there's nothing really too different about that either. And these buttons up here, if you click on any of them, they will set your camera to exactly the position of whatever axis that particular button is. Like if I hit this X over here, it'll take me to the right side, this takes me to the front, and this takes me to the top. So right here is where our legs are going to extend up into the body. So you want to select all of these vertices, and probably want to set it into a 2D camera. And then this isn't going to be the best model ever, but it'll work for the time being. Okay, so if you need to just select one face specifically, you can switch between faces, lines, and specific vertices over there. Okay. also just now realizing that building this arm this early was kind of a stupid idea. I'm going to retract that. Because we are going to use the newly created vertices for that purpose. Now you've got your body, and maybe you're asking, okay, so how do I attach a head? And I wouldn't recommend building your head off of the pre-existing body, because your head is going to be the thing that moves around a lot more. So instead, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add an entirely new thing. So we have a plane here. We're going to want to scale this up a bit. And we're going to keep it above the body for now, just for building reasons. And you should also probably drag your vertices out of the mirror area, just so you don't end up with bonus stuff that you don't want. That is one of the disadvantages of using the mirror modifier, but it's not really that big of a deal. So now that you've got a base for your head, you basically will just, for this example, I'm pretty much just going to make a square. Yeah, that'll do. Although, you know, let's say you wanted to add, like, eyes. So go to the knife tool down here and just kind of like cut into the mesh to like make a thing for the eyes. And that is basically like, yeah, that'll, yep. You're probably going to want to do multiple layers. Because what you're going to do is you're going to like push this into the head so that you can add a pupil. And this is really sloppily done, but it'll kind of show you the ropes. And then from there, you're going to want to go to add again. And you want a circle. Now, maybe you don't understand, well, why do I need a circle? Well, first of all, press F to add a face. And shrink the sphere down to what you are comfortable with. And then you kind of want to rotate it just a little bit. and then go into the rotate menu down here and hit 90 degrees. Then you take your eye, you're gonna need to turn off clipping in mirror, assuming you have it on, which you should. Turn it back on once you have your stuff moved. And just kind of move the pupil into the socket you've just made. And from there you can kind of make a judgment based on, like, you want to like make it a little bit bigger, what do you want to do with that? So at this point, the head is pretty much done. There's nothing too terribly complicated about making a head mesh for something simple like this, so it doesn't really take that long to explain. So once you're done with your head, you can kind of just move it onto the body. And there you go, you have a model. And if you haven't already, what you should do at this point is go to File, Save As, and save your file as something. I'm going to save mine as video model.blend. So once you have your model that you just made, you worked really hard on it, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the texture paint chat, or tab, and from here you should go to this thing here and make sure that you have a material. Go to the base color, hit the yellow circle, and change the base color to an image texture. Click New, and there you go. And then you want to go real quick to the UV editing tab, hit A to select all vertices, hit UV, Smart UV Project, and that will project your UV in such a way that your stuff won't interfere with your other stuff. So I'm going to move the eye a little bit so it doesn't get messed with. Yeah, from there, you're pretty much good, and you can start painting textures. So, if you just paint some of this stuff white over here, you'll see that that applies color to this area. And you can also do that from the actual thing itself. I don't know why it's not letting me color the middle here. is that middle area. The UV wrapping is weird sometimes. Okay, that's not it. Oh, okay. So it's this little bit here. So you can kind of see a basic idea of how that works. I'm going to reload the image because we don't actually want any of that stuff I just did. So let's say you wanted to give him like a blue t-shirt. You're going to want to hit colored blue in your color wheel. I'm going to hide the head real quick because it is going to get in the way. And to hide certain vertices, all you need to do is select them and hit H. They're not gone, they're just hidden. So you see, it will still appear when you're not in edit mode. So you want to hit this and that will take you into edit mode. Go back to modeling for a second, hit A, and then go back to texture paint. And that will have selected all of these faces so that you can paint on them. So now we're going to give our boy a t-shirt. I don't know what happened to the UV mapping here, but that looks like it's about as good as it's going to get. Alright, well, now if you go back and hit Alt-H, your head will come back. And you can paint the head, which also looks kind of screwed up, but oh well. Let's get... No, we'll just keep the head black. That'll be fine. Let's give him green eyes. Because the eyes are a separate thing entirely, you can just kind of color it in from the UV sheet. And there you can see his eyes are green. We probably want to hide the eyes now, just so they don't get in the way. Alright. Yeah, now I need to select all again, go back to texture paint. And now we're going to want to color the eyes in with a white kind of color. Because that's how eyes look, yeah? Alright. So as you can see, it's a low quality texture and model, but it's a model. you know, you've got your model, you've got it textured. Mine doesn't really look that great, but if you like actually work on the textures a decent amount, you'll probably be able to do it decent. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to add a mouth, just real quick. Doesn't need to be anything too complicated, just kind of something like that. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to your layout tab again, go to your material properties window, which should be towards the bottom of the bottom right menu. You should see your material. Scroll down till you find settings and turn on backface calling. And what this will do is this will cause faces to only render from the side that they're set to face rather than both sides. This is important. So with that in mind, you're going to want to go to your modeling tab, switch your selection mode to faces, go inside your model and find the faces that you need to flip, which is just anything that appears on the inside of the model, rather than the outside. So once you've got that done, you go to give me a minute here, I have to remember. Okay, you go to the mesh tab, or not the, there is a mesh button up sort of by edit mode. So you go into that menu, and in normals there is a flip button. That will flip those normals so that you can see them on the other side rather than on the inside. I'm going to do that with this one too. Perfect. Oh, we need to fix that for the eye as well. Basically just make sure all of your stuff is visible from the correct side. So, there's that. Now, you can look at your model. Everything's viewable from the correct angle, you know. It's all good and dandy. So what you're going to do now is you're going to go back to your modifiers, mirror, and you want to apply. So essentially what that did is it turned the stuff that has just been a visual mirror this entire time, and it is now like an actual part of the mesh. So don't have to worry about that any longer. Now then, with all this out of the way, it is time to start working on getting this thing to move. And to begin on that, what we do is we go to add, and armature, single bone. This will get us our start. Now I would also recommend, while you're making your armature, make sure you're on the box menu over here. Go to viewport display, hit in front, and then display as wire. This will make sure you can always see the bones over models, which is very useful. So then you want to go into edit mode, and this bone is going to be your hip bone. I would also recommend turning on wireframe while you're working on this. So there's your hip bone. Just go to extrude, create a bone for the spine, and one for the chest. After that, you're probably going to want to make a very, very small bone for the neck, unless you have a neck, in which case place it somewhere where the neck on the mesh is. And then a head bone. And if you want your eyes to move, you're going to have to go to add, single bone, and then move your left eye bone, or no, it'd be your right eye bone. We're going to start with the right side of the body. Move your right eye bone kind of towards where your eyes are. And that, after that you've done that, you want to hold shift and click your head bone, Control P, and then keep offset. That will parent your bone to the head bone. And now while we've got a minute, we want to go into our armature, and you'll see that all of these bones that don't actually have names right now. It's just bone, bone 1, bone 2, bone 3. So you want to double click on all of these and rename them so you know what they are. Move that up just a little bit. Alright, now you want to add another bone. We're going to use this one for our arms. Starting with the shoulder. You want to go to your bone menu, which should be at the bottom of the bottom left or bottom right menu. While you have this bone selected, you want to set the Z to the same thing for both the head and the tail. That way it's flat. And then move your shoulder bone to about where you want your shoulder to be. Kind of like that. And then parent it to your chest. And then you can kind of just go from there. typically you would have a hand here, but I did not make a hand on this model, so we're just going to have a bone here that doesn't do anything. As lame as that sounds. So here you have your shoulder and arm. You want to rename these. To just kind of whatever they're supposed to be. So right shoulder, right arm, right forearm, right hand. And you want to make sure you have the full word right in all of these, because we're going to use Blender to symmetrize these here in a bit. So then you want to add another new bone, and this one is going to be for right leg. So we're just going to kind of move it in the center of the leg here. And going to extrude. Then typically what you would do for a foot is a bone that looks kind of like that, but we don't really have foot, so it's not going to do much for us. But we're going to have it anyway. So then you take your leg bone and you parent it to your hips. And that's pretty much the gist of making an armature. Now what you're going to want to do is select all of the right side bones. And, oh, I need to rename these first. You want to shift click all of these that are on the right side. You want to go to armature, symmetrize, and that will make a left version of all of the right bones. And now we're done with making the bones anyway. Next you have to weight paint. So you're going to select your mesh, and then you're going to select your armature, Control P, and then you can either do automatic weights, or you can do empty groups and weight paint it yourself, which I would recommend more, and that's what I'm going to do. So once you've done that, your cube will be in with your armature. So once you're done with making your bones, you want to go to this little triangle menu here, and now you'll see all of your bones here in the vertex groups. So essentially what all of these do is, depending on how you've painted your mesh, they will move whatever polygons they're set to move. So, for the hips, we're gonna hit this little box with a little dot up in the top left here. You probably can't see it because my face cam's blocking it. But you want to hit that, I'm assuming you know what I'm talking about, hopefully. Can't guarantee it. And then you're going to want to click all of the vertices that you want to be used for the hip bone. And then you hit assign, and it will automatically paint weights to it. And paint a little bit more of the hips here. That looks good. So now if I take us back into object mode and hit pose mode on the armature, and I move the hip bone out, you will see that that area of the model will move outward with the hip bone. And so our goal here is to paint all weights on all of the bones so that the entire mesh can move. I need to reset that. Just Control Z if you ever do something like that. So, and we're going to make a painting for the spine. Alright, so now you've got the weight painted. So your model should be able to fully move now. Let's check. Yes. So now, if you were to rotate your bones around and just kind of experiment with them, you can make your mesh look like it is moving. And this goes for pretty much any bone that you set any weight to. I did end up setting weights for the hands. They aren't the best, but they will do the job. And the eyes, not perfect. You know, they could be better. But for the time being, that works. So you have your model, and if you don't plan on using it for VRChat, you're pretty much done. But if you're going to use it in VRChat, there is one thing you need to do really quick. You need to go into Chrome, you need to look up Cat's Blender plugin. And this should be the first thing that pops up. Give me all your Cat's Blender plugin. You want to go into the GitHub, go to releases, and just download whatever the most recent release is. And then you want to go to your Edit tab in Blender, click on Preferences. That should pull up this menu. You want to install, and then just wherever your zip for Cat was installed, you want to grab it, install it, and then once it's installed, you want to enable it. And then once you have it installed and enabled, you hit N to pull up your side menu, and then Cats should be down here. You shouldn't necessarily need Material Combiner, unless you're working with multiple materials, and if you followed my tutorial you really won't be. So there's that, but you're going to need this if you're like looking to make lip syncing. So we don't need it yet, so you can put it away for now. But you can get rid of your vertex groups. You don't need to mess with those anymore for now, or at all, unless you need to re-weight paint something. So what you're going to want to do, first you're going to want to add a basis shape key. This is just what your model will look like on like a standard animation frame. From there you're going to want to add another shape key. We're going to start with blink. You want to hit this little box down here. That will allow us to edit our shape key, and then you want to go drag the value up to 1. Go to edit mode, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to drag your vertices around, and this is going to look like crap because I didn't make the texture for the eyes very well, but you're going to want to make your character blink, even if it looks like crap. And if it does look like crap, you can just opt to not have your character blink as well. That is an option. Because let's be honest, this character does not animate well blinking, but this is just for testing purposes. So, or not testing, but to show you guys how it works. So, you know, now you've got your blinking. If you mess with the value, you'll see that the eyes open and close depending on what value the blink shape key is at. So now I'm going to go back to object mode, add 3 more shape keys. I'm going to have one for inch. So then you want to go back to edit mode, and we're going to do first. And so what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to pull out grip region if you did what I did for the mouth here. And from there, you can kind of just try to make an sort of, kind of, as if your character were saying Kind of thinking I may have screwed it up. Oh, wait, no, okay, we're good. Typically you would also have an inside of the head, so you're not just looking through the model when your mouth opens. But for this, we're not going to bother. So there you have then we're going to do ooh. So once you have that, go back to object mode, hit N to pull up cats, and then first slot is second slot is O, and the third slot is Ch. Then just hit create resumes, and it will make a bunch of them for you. And at this point, you're done with the model. Now what you want to do, you want to pull up Unity, because you should have that installed. Click on New. You're probably going to need to sign in. You're going to want to make a new project. You're going to want to name it something that you'll remember. And then while you're in Blender, you want to save a copy of your blend file to the new folder that was just made for your Unity project, which should be in Documents. So just save copy, and it will save a copy of your blend file to Unity. And from here on out, everything should just be done in Unity. We are going to save a copy of our texture as well. Alright. Now we wait for Unity to load. Might take a minute for it to acquire all the things it needs. So now you're in Unity. First thing you want to do, drag your model into the hierarchy. And you're going to notice that your camera and your light is still here. We're going to fix that here in a bit. But for now, you want to click on your model in your project tab, materials, extract materials. And you want to click on this, and you want to drag your texture into the albedo thing. So now your model is in Unity, your texture work is in Unity. You go here, click on the thing, and then go to your cube, which is your mesh. You can see that your blend shapes are here. So there's that. Now before we continue, there are a couple very important things we have to do. We have to switch our model to a humanoid rig. And you want to configure it. And because I don't have any weights on some of these bones, it's not going to put them in the humanoid thing. So you're going to have to add those manually. I don't know why I didn't add the chest. So yeah, just make sure all of your bones are in here. And then hit apply. Done. So now your model is set up for humanoid animations, which is what VRChat uses. And then you're going to want to go to VRChat.com. I'm probably going to want to make or log in. Okay. So now you're kind of just going to see all this stuff. Or, well, you might not see anything here if you've just made your account. So go to download. And for this, we are going to use download SDK2 because SDK2 is a lot easier to learn than SDK3 is. So now that you've got that, you drag your SDK into your Unity window and hit import. Now it's going to take a minute to import everything. You should have everything accessible to you. So you want to go to VRChat SDK, which should be in the top left of your screen. Hit Show Control Panel. Then you want to drag this, let's say over here. Alright, so now you're logged in to the VRChat SDK. That is one of the most important steps. Now go back to the inspector, because you're going to need that for a little bit. Click on Add Component, look up VRC in the search bar, and scroll until you find Avatar Descriptor. And you're not going to want to mess with most of this, but do click on lip sync. Do click on auto detect for lip sync. That will add all of the blend shapes that was made for you by cats. And then while you're here, go to VRChat examples, examples 2, tutorial avatar, and drag the tutorial avatar in so you can kind of see what size your model is supposed to be. From here you want to scale your thing either down or up to match that. So if we were to scale this down to 0.1 for each axis, it's not quite there. So maybe add a 5 onto that. That looks fine. So we're going to get rid of the tutorial avatar, and now we need to set the view position. So kind of what you have to do for SDK2 is just kind of inch it up. Until you reach the point you believe you want your thing to be at. It's not exactly the most well-done system. This is one thing that SDK 3.0 does a lot better. But like I said, SDK 3.0 is a lot more advanced. So you kind of just want your view position to be like in the middle of your eyes. Kind of like that. And once you have that, you are pretty much done. Let me just drag in this here so I can show you some of the animations and how they would work with this model. Drag this back to assets. So if I were to go here and here, you can kind of see how the model animates. I mean, you know, it's far from perfect because it's so low poly, but it works. So, another thing you're going to want to do, go to that material you've made earlier, click on shader, you want to switch it from standard to VRChat, mobile, and then whatever. You can use diffuse, you can use toonlet, just whatever you feel like. You know, it might not look the best, but one thing we're going to do real quick, we're going to unpack prefab by right-clicking on our model in the scene, and then we're going to delete the camera, and we're going to delete the light, because we do not need those in VRChat. So then, if you go back to your VRChat SDK, you want to just fix everything that the SDK is telling you to fix. Usually you can just auto-fix most of it. So now, build and publish for Windows. And then eventually, you'll be brought into the new avatar menu. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to drag this camera that just spawned somewhere where you can see, and then rotate the light so you can see your avatar. And we're gonna name this guy Shingle McDoof, because why not? Describe your avatar to other users. This does not matter. It does not show up anywhere. You don't need any of these unless your avatar has them. Private or public. Private is if you don't want anybody to be able to use your avatar. public is if you don't care if other people use your avatar. I'm going to make mine public. I usually do. Not that it matters, because I'm never going to use this model, obviously. Okay. So once that's done, your avatar is officially on the VRChat servers. And you can go and play with it right now if you wished to play with it. However, anybody who's playing on the Oculus Quest is not going to be able to see that avatar unless you upload it for Android. So, if you want your avatar to be seen across the board, what you're going to want to do is switch build target to Android. And this will do a couple things real quick. And once that's done, build and publish for Android. And from there it's basically the same process, except you don't have to move the camera because you already have an image. Alright, so now that you've uploaded it for both Android and Windows, you can close Unity, because you are officially done. You have uploaded your avatar, it's usable in-game, and you're done. Give me a moment. Alright. So, if you go to your avatar menu, you should see your newly uploaded avatar. And you know, there's not really much else to say.